Hello everyone and welcome back for another episode of Hearthstone Ladder Climb. My name's Ikkaris, this is Ikkaris Gaming, and this is episode 7 of the series where we will be reviewing my Hearthstone gameplay as I try to climb to Legend. Now, I didn't notice as I was playing the game live, but upon reviewing the footage, I just realized that this game actually isn't in ranked, it's in the casual queue, but I think there's still some lessons that we can take out of this and just show you guys a little bit more gameplay of our Recruit Hunter deck. So we're matched up against a Paladin. Whenever you see Paladin, you generally can kind of assume that it will be Odd Paladin. It's just, it's one of the stronger decks right now, especially with the Witchwood meta. They're just popping up all over the place. And what I've noticed is, especially in the casual queue, when I play ranked, you tend not to see it too much, but you do in casual. And as you can see there, we've got Baku the Moon Eater showing you right away that yes, this is indeed Odd Paladin. So it's a little bit of a concern against our Recruit Hunter deck because we need to be able to sustain until the later turns, turn 6, turn 7, etc. And then we can really start to punish this deck. But you kind of need to get off to a strong start. Now, two things that we do have in our favor. We have Keleseth in our hand, and we also have Deathstalker Rexxar, which could potentially be huge if we can get our opponent to fill the board with minions, low cost, the hero power minions, the silver hand recruits, and then we can pop out Deathstalker Rexxar, potentially clear his board. So we're kind of keeping that in the back of our head. But the reason we played the Firefly turn 1, just to get a little extra board presence. Keleseth turn 2, buff all the minions, pretty standard. One thing that you always want to do against Odd Paladin is you want to try to eliminate as many of the silver hand recruits as you possibly can. One of the major win conditions for this deck is to fill the board with the recruits and then buff them with Call to Arms is the most common, which makes it a very, very tough to deal with, especially with our Recruit Hunter deck that we don't run very many spells and we don't run any AoE area of effect spells. The best AoE damage that we have is through Deathstalker Rexxar. There are some variations of Recruit Hunter that run like Explosive Trap, for instance, which could be just absolutely devastating against Odd Paladin, in that it does 2 damage to the entire board of the opponent. But with this variation, we've gone very minion heavy. So we're going to play the Flanking Strike onto the raid leader there because it takes away an extra damage. It just took away 4 extra damage from our opponent. That's the best value that we could get out of that. And so he's kind of filling the board now with the silver hand recruits. So we're getting a little nervous here. Fortunately, we are coming up on turn 5 and we have the coin. So we are absolutely thinking coin Deathstalker Rexxar here. And see, we hit the Divine Shield to get that gone, a little bit of an emote, just, to be cheeky. Play Deathstalker Rexxar off the coin and wipe the board except for the Dire Mole. But that's not too much of a concern. He can't really buff it with, Call to Arms, so we're not too worried about it. You can see we get a little cheeky with the emotes. Calls in the 2 hand recruits. The Champion's Maul, giving him 2 extra recruits, and so now we want to be, we can get a little bit nervous about this here. We're not sure, we're going to want to get rid of as many of his minions as possible. Now we've got the Lone Champion, we have the Witchwood Grizzly, and the Seeping Oozeling that we can play on this turn. Not quite sure. He's got 4 cards in hand. We've got the buffed Witchwood Grizzly, so that gives us a 4/9, which is, pretty good. So that's kind of the best play that we had there. The Lone Champion, we can use the hero power. That still gives us an extra mana. We could have gone Seeping Oozeling, but this deck does run Silence, and this is what we're afraid of. Bringing in the extra Silver Hand recruits, and then making them all 3/3s with taunt. We have no AoE removal. We have nothing that we can do that will clear the board. We're gonna have to go one by one on these minions. So we're kind of in a tough spot here. This is not great. You know, this is kind of one of those things where sometimes, you know, if they make the right play, they just make the right play. There's not a whole lot you can do about it. So we go Lone Champion and then Hero Power. We're kind of thinking here, you know, the Pterodax Hatchling is kind of the, you know, probably the best one there. And then I believe we go for the Dragonhawk to give it Wind Fury as well, just to keep a relatively low-cost minion that we might be able to play next turn. But we are kind of back against the wall here, especially with the Vine Cleaver, and now, you know, now the snowball really gets rolling with this deck. If you can get Vine Cleaver with Level Up and the Hero Power, you can pretty much just win the game. So, you know, he's down to 2 recruits that have the buff, that have the 3/3. So, you know, we may be able to do something here, but with 13 HP, it's not looking great. So, you know, 8 mana, we're probably thinking, you know, we're thinking we can go Lich King because of the taunt. We know it's not going to survive more than a turn, which is unfortunate, but it's kind of the only play we have. If we make it to next turn, we're thinking probably King Krush to put a little, you know, an extra threat on the board. But regardless, we're not looking too great. And you can see here, there's the Iron Beak Owl, the silence that this runs with the raid leader, buffs all of his other minions, gets the 4 damage off the Vine Cleaver, and we're dead. Feels bad now. So just, you know, wanted to show this, even though this isn't a ranked game, just to show you guys, you know, what can potentially happen, especially when you have no AoE removal. You can get into kind of a rough spot. It's not a great matchup for this deck, but we do have a bonus here because it's the Fire Festival summer event and all the quests are double gold. We've got 3 card packs to open. So we'll open up, we got 3 Witchwood packs. First one, Druid of the Scythe. Really good card in my opinion. It was one of my favorite. I run it in Spiteful Druid. Dire Frenzy, not that great. Ghanaian Royal Guard, again, it doesn't really see too much play. Neither does Darkmire Moonskin. Rotten Apple Bomb, unfortunately we already have 2 of those, so those will mostly just get dusted. Not really anything surprising or exotic in there. Next one, Zap, standard Shaman spell. Cutthroat Buccaneer. I don't really play a lot of rogues, so that's not going to see much use. Squashling, decent. Curse of Weakness. I've seen some pretty good plays in Warlock off of that. But again, you know, we already have pretty much all these cards, so they'll just end up getting dusted. Next pack, another Furious Etten. We got one of those in the last one. Warpath, Witch's Apprentice. This is all pretty basic Witchwood cards. Nothing too exotic. Just wanted to give it as a little extra bonus here because I am enjoying the summer event. So anyway, that's our episode. Catch you in the next one.